Welcome in to this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. On today's show, we're going to let you hear from ESPN's Field Yates, one of the smartest minds in all of football. He did an interview with a local radio station in Seattle within the last few days, and he explained how the Hawks should fix their offensive line problems. And he's got some pretty interesting ideas. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. The first thing that Yates is suggesting is that the Hawks take the best available offensive lineman in round one of the draft. He's saying that whether it's a tackle, a guard, a center, whatever it may be, whoever is the best available, that they need to get that offensive lineman and then just figure out somewhere to put that offensive lineman in this group. Let's start with this from Field Yates. I certainly would feel very strongly about getting an offensive lineman at number 18 if the board aligns. But I'm also open to being a bit more dynamic with my line combinations going forward. With Abe Lucas's health and his inconsistency in terms of being available, that's a position I think you feel good about when he's healthy. But over the past 2 years, he's played 13 games. Now, as I've evaluated and looked at this draft class, in all honesty, this is not a great year for guards in this draft. And if you're Seattle, I think you have to be open-minded with how you approach this draft in the players you bring in and are willing to add to this offensive line group. You got to be a little bit flexible on putting your best possible options out there because, as mentioned by Field Yates there, you can't count on Abraham Lucas. I think we all like Abraham Lucas. We know he's a good football player, but he struggled to stay available. And I don't know how healthy Abraham Lucas is going to be long-term, let alone if they're going to give him a long-term contract, if they can trust his health to stack up. So with that said, who are the top offensive linemen that are available that Seattle could potentially pick with that 18th overall selection? There are 4 offensive linemen that are in Mel Kiper's big board, his top 25. And they include Will Campbell from LSU, Kelvin Banks, the offensive tackle from the University of Texas, Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle from Ohio State. And you have to go all the way to 23 before you find a guard in Tyler Booker. And I got to tell you, I like Tyler Booker, but as Field mentions there, let's just say for all intents and purposes, you're picking at 18. If Campbell, Banks, or Simmons, if those 3 are still available before you, or rather when you pick at 18, and Tyler Booker's still there, I'm taking any of those 3 before I'm taking Tyler Booker, and I'll figure out where to put them on the offensive line. In fact, there's some potential flexibility even with these guys right here. More on that coming up in just a bit. But I think he's absolutely right about that. You get the best available offensive lineman, and then you potentially move some things around. And there could be some movement involving Abraham Lucas. More on that coming up in just a bit. Here's what I want to survey the 12s. If you think Seattle should draft an offensive lineman in the first round, like today's video. If not, if there's another position that comes to mind, if you think they should go edge or corner or something else, whatever it may be, comment and tell me why you think they should draft a different position. Let us know. Like the video for an offensive lineman. Comment if you think it should be something else. Weigh in and let us know. Today's show is sponsored by Zbiotics. Ever skipped a workout because of drinks the night before? Me too. If you're committed to your healthy routine this year, you need Zbiotics pre-alcohol. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. So I was in New Orleans last week for Super Bowl week, and I just tried pre-alcohol for the first time last weekend, and I can honestly say there is no better way to feel my best the morning after drinking than Zbiotics. And I got to tell you, you are going to feel alive when you take Zbiotics. It is going to be a game changer, and it was a game changer for me, helping me survive New Orleans, folks. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. You can also scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use ChatSports checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription using my code so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. Zbiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use code chatsports at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Zbiotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times. All right, next up. So Field Yates says that the Hawks should be open to the idea of potentially moving Abraham Lucas to the offensive guard spot. And I have mentioned this possibility for a long time on this program of moving Lucas there to the right guard position. And I've heard some of you say to me, well, he's too big to play offensive guard. Well, newsflash, I want big guys on my offensive line. I'm not worried about him being too large of a human being to play the offensive guard spot. And the way that we're seeing the game evolve in 2025 and beyond when it comes to the offensive lineman, it's starting to become a little more positionless of sorts. You want your guards to be able to move around much like tackles in their movements when it comes to pulling and their positional flexibility. So it could be an easy switch potentially to have Abraham Lucas play the guard position, especially if you got concerns about his health of just having more options available to your liking there. Field Yates said this. So if there's a great tackle available there that you think could become a 6 or 7 year solid starter, whether it's exploring or moving Abe Lucas to guard. You can't count on Abe to stay healthy. So if your best option is to take a tackle, like one of those names we mentioned, like Campbell, Banks, or Simmons, then you can go ahead and move Abraham Lucas to the guard spot, and then you're getting the best that you can possibly get out of your offensive line. I think that makes sense. And you look at Abe's grades. He was okay. He wasn't bad this past season when we saw him late in the second half of the season with an offensive grade of 61.9, a pass block grade near 66, a run block grade of 63. It was a dramatic improvement from the players we saw in his position before he made his return. And if you're looking for an example, well, how could this work of moving a tackle to a guard spot? Might I turn your attention to the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles and a guy by the name of Mekhi Becton. Played the guard spot, played it really well, and was a big reason why the Eagles won the Super Bowl this year. The Eagles have shown they can make this work. And speaking of the Eagles, think about Jason Kelce all those years. The way that he was moving around as a center, that was a guy that had the movements of a guard and the movements of a tackle. All right? So you can make this work with Abraham Lucas. I think Mekhi Becton is the example I would point to. And I was talking to Mekhi Becton at the Super Bowl. And Mekhi was asked, do you see yourself as a tackle? Are you more of a guard now? And you know what his answer was? He says, I'm going to play wherever they put me. I'm a guard right now. But if I need to play tackle, I can play tackle. And I think that's the approach that Abraham Lucas needs to take. Should Abraham Lucas move to the guard spot? What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, N for no. Chime in that comment section. Tell us if you think Abraham Lucas should be a guard or not. Seahawks Today is bringing you nonstop Seahawks coverage all offseason long. We're bringing you not one, but 2 live shows a week every Monday and Wednesday. We're also bringing you our daily news and rumors, sometimes 2 and 3 videos a day. We also have coverage of the draft, free agency, trades, and more, breaking news, Q&A mailbags. I don't care if I had to make a video from my own apartment at 11 o'clock at night. I've done that before. I'll do it again if I need to. We are on top of everything this offseason here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. Number 3, Yates mentions that not just Abraham Lucas should be considered of a potential move to the guard spot if necessary, but also examining the versatility of different offensive linemen to play other spots. Listen to this from Field Yates. Whether it's moving somebody to guard that you drafted as a tackle, I think you just have to be open-minded to getting your best 5 on the field. And you think about this. You have a few guys in this draft that are tackles. And get this, folks. Some of those high-level tackles in this draft actually might be better suited playing guard at the next level anyway, which would work out pretty good for Seattle in their circumstance. 2 names in particular. Kelvin Banks, who we talked about a moment ago, and then Membou from Missouri, who we've mocked to Seattle in previous mock drafts before. Those 2 guys could be guards at the next level potentially. Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Media even seems to think so. Here's what he said on Banks. Some teams see him as more of a guard, but I believe he can hold up as a tackle. Overall, Banks has some things to clean up, but I like his core foundation of strength and agility. And then he said this on Membou. He could more than hold his own at tackle in the NFL, but he has the tools to become an all-pro guard. He reminds me of Elijah Vera Tucker coming out of college. So there you have it. I think the main key here is whether it's Abraham Lucas or whether it's somebody you draft in the first round, be willing to be flexible. That's all I ask. All right? So for Clint Kubiak and his new offensive staff, just be willing to be flexible and put the best 5 guys you can make work with this group. Who's the player the Seahawks should draft? Give me a name that comes to mind and let us know. If you enjoyed today's show, you already know what to do. Hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today.